2 of Chapter 4, Distribution of Ocean and Continents of Class 11 Geography NCERT. In previous lecture video consisting of Part 1, we have already discussed some basic theories like continental rift theory, convective current theory, and we have already seen the mapping of ocean floor. Now we have to discuss the further parts of this chapter, and we will start with the ocean floor configuration. We always see that okay, on this land we see certain type of mountains, we see that there are plateaus, we see that there are plains, we see desert, but what we miss is that below the ocean water also certain type of features are present, such as there are mountains, there are plains, and this is what we have to study now. So now the ocean floor may be segmented into three main divisions based upon the depth and based upon the form of relief. Now, what is this relief? So, when on the normal land, this is the normal land, there is any type of elevation in height. It is called a relief. For example, if there is mountain present, it's a relief. There are mountains present inside the ocean water also, and we will understand that how they are made. So these divisions are continental margin, deep sea basin, and mid-oceanic ridges. So we can now divide the ocean floor into three main parts, that are continental margin, deep sea basin, and mid-oceanic ridge. We have to understand now these in detail. So the first part that we have to see is continental margin. For understanding continental margin, first we have to understand that whenever we go to beaches or we go to sea, what we see is that there is land and then there is ocean water. But suddenly deep ocean do not start. Like let's suppose that here the continent has ended and here deep sea has started. So there is some transition area between these two boundaries. This transition area is what is called this continental margin. So now let's study this in detail. So these form the transition between continental shore, this is the continental shore, and deep sea basin. This is the deep sea basin. All right, they include continental shelf, continental slope, continental rise, and deep oceanic trenches. So, continental margin is itself divided into various parts such as continental shelf, continental slope, continental rise, and deep oceanic trenches. These three are different. However, the name sounds similar, but these three are different, and we will study the difference in oceanography chapter. For now, we have to understand that deep oceanic trenches are the part that we are concerned so far to understand in this chapter, right? So what we have studied till now, that okay, oceanic floor has three divisions, that is continental margin, deep sea basin, mid oceanic ridge. Continental margin is itself divided into various parts such as continental shelf, continental slope, continental rise, and deep oceanic trenches. These three we will discuss in oceanography. We will also discuss trenches in oceanography. But what we are now concerned is about deep oceanic trenches, and we will see in the upcoming lecture that how they are actually formed. So now the next part is abyssal plain. We have already seen that okay, the first part of oceanic floor is continental margin. The second part is the plains, right? So these are now what is the speciality of plains also on like normal land, that they are very regular, right? In their elevation they are regular, right? So these are extensive plain that lie between the continental margin and the mid oceanic ridge. So now we are aware that okay, this is continental margin, right? We have already seen the continental margin. That continental margin is a transition zone between continental shore and deep ocean sea. This, let's say, is the continental margin. Now here there is continental margin and here there is mid-oceanic ridge. We will see that what is this mid-oceanic ridge. Now the area between this, or the plains between this that are present, these are basically abyssal plains. So abyssal plains are the area where the continent sediment that move beyond the margin get deposited. So now there are certain sediments, like certain particles, which move from this continent area into the ocean area. Now these sediments have to get deposited somewhere. So the part in which these sediment which move from continent to the oceanic area get deposited, these are what is called abyssal plain. That is what Now you can think of example of Indo-Gangetic Plain. Now how are these plain formed? That when the sediments come from big rivers like Ganga, Brahmaputra, whatever, now these particles get deposited, and what they form is plains, right? Great North Indian plains. Similarly, when these type of plains are formed below the ocean water from the sediments coming from the continent, these are called abyssal plains, and this is the second division of oceanic floor. The third thing that we have to study, or the third division, is the mid-oceanic ridge. Understand mid-oceanic ridge as a mountain that are present below the oceanic floor. So this forms as an interconnected chain of mountain system within the ocean, and these are like connected. When we study the Indian geography part, we will understand that okay, Himalayas are not just a single chain. These there are various division in the Himalayas, but a single Himalaya can have a long chain of various mountains. So similarly, when these long chain of mountains are present below the Earth's surface, sorry, below the ocean flow, below the ocean water, these are called what is called mid-oceanic ridge. It is the longest mountain chain on the surface of Earth, through though submerged under the oceanic waters. So on land we do not have such continuous mountain chain like mid-oceanic ridges are present below the ocean water. It is characterized by a central rift system at the crest, a fractional plateau, and a flank zone along its length. So now this mid-oceanic ridge has three types or three categories, right, or three characteristics. That it has a central rift system, that there is this, let's suppose that there is this line, and here we have various mountains, so there is this central rift which is present. The next characteristic is that it has a fractionated plateau, that alongside this ridges plateaus are being formed, and a flank zone all along its length. What is this flank zone? Flank zone is nothing but it is the area which is present where lava gets deposited. Right? So the rift system at the crest is the zone of intense volcanic activity. And when where this is the center portion of all the mountains, it has intense volcanic activity. Why? Because constant lava comes up the oceanic floor, because it is thinner. We have already seen that oceanic crust is thinner in its width. In the previous chapter, you have been introduced to the type of volcano as a mid-oceanic volcanoes. We have already discussed the mid-oceanic volcanoes, right? This is the same as mid-oceanic ridge. So we have seen that okay, there are three divisions of oceanic floor configuration, that is continental margin, abyssal plain, and mid-oceanic ridge. Now let's see an animated video to discuss these further and to understand and to imagine. Right. So in this video, we have seen that there are three parts. We have seen the continental margin in the starting. That there is continental margin, then there is this deep sea basin, and then there comes the ridges. Right. So we can see that okay, lava is erupting from here, and mountains are being formed on both the sides. That is a characteristic of mid-oceanic ridge, that we have seen that it has a same or a central line that is common to all the mountain ranges. Next, let's see the continental shelf, continental slope, continental rise, and deep oceanic trenches. All right. So we have seen now that okay, continental margin can be divided into four different parts. We have studied this, and these are these parts only, right? These are the parts that we have already seen in the video. That is, there can be different parts like continental shelf. You can imagine the slope, rise, and deep oceanic trenches. We will study that what are these or what is the difference between these in the oceanography chapter. Now, yes, in this video you have seen about the abyssal plain. And you can now see that this is the deposition of the sediments that have come from continent to the ocean. So now we have seen that okay, ocean floor can be divided into various parts, and what are these parts we have already discussed. This is the NCRT diagram of what are the different parts of ocean floor or ocean floor configuration. We have seen that okay, there is something like continental shelf, which is a part of continental margin only. There is this continental slope. All right, then there is this deepest ocean, and then there is ocean basin floor, which also includes the abyssal plains. You can always draw this diagram whenever ocean floor is asked to explain, but we will further or we will study this in detail in oceanography when we will understand it better. So the next part that we have to discuss is about the distribution of volcano and earthquake. We have already discussed that what are volcanoes, what are the types of volcanoes, what are the landforms of volcano in previous lecture videos. If you have not seen that, please, it's my high recommendation that do cover these lecture in sequence. And if you have to see the previous lecture video, please see it first and then continue this lecture from here. And we've already also discussed that what are earthquakes, what are the various reasons for earthquakes. Now we have to see that okay, what is the distribution of earthquake and volcano, that where all the volcanoes and earthquake occur. This is a very important diagram which is given in the NCRT itself, that here we can see that okay, this is the Atlantic Ocean, and we can see that there are high number of volcanoes and earthquake occurring in this is the Pacific Ocean, right? This is the Atlantic Ocean. We can see the high number of earthquake and volcano that are present in this region. So let's now study that what is the distribution of volcano and earthquake in the world. So a line of dots in the central part of Atlantic Ocean, almost parallel to the coastline. Now we see that this is the part in the Atlantic Ocean and it is almost parallel to the coastline, right? It extends into the Indian Ocean, and it further bifurcates a little south of the Indian subcontinent, with one branch moving into East Africa and other meeting a similar line from Myanmar to New Guinea. Right. So we can see that okay, now this line is moving to somewhat like East Africa. We can see that okay, this is the line that is present in the Atlantic Ocean. It's almost parallel to the coastline of the continents, and we can now see that this line is moving into the East Africa, and it further moves to the area of like Myanmar, right? You will notice that this line of dot coincide with the mid-oceanic ridge. We will understand that this Atlantic mid-oceanic ridge, it is similar to the mid-oceanic ridges mountains that we have discussed just now, and it is similar that okay, whenever there are lava coming out from the lava accumulation, volcanoes are formed, and whenever the lava comes out, earth shake and earthquakes come. So it is similar, or these points are coinciding with the mid-oceanic ridge which is present in the Atlantic region, in the Atlantic Ocean. The shaded belt showing another area of concentration coincides with the alpine Himalayan system and the rim of Pacific Ocean. So another area that we can see is this area. This is the Pacific Ring, and it's called Ring of Fire because there are high number of, as you can see, the ocean volcanoes and earthquakes present. Another area that you can see is this area. You can just connect this line, that is the Himalayan area. Another point that we will discuss further when we will study Himalayas in detail is that earthquakes do occur in Himalaya, but volcanoes do not occur in Himalayas. Why volcanoes do not occur? Because in the upcoming lecture we will see about the continent conversion, and when this area, let's say this is continental crust, and another continental crust comes over it. So this becomes so thick that lava cannot escape, and no volcanoes come in the Himalayas areas, right? So now, till now, we have seen that okay, there are three parts. One, we have seen this Atlantic mid-oceanic ridge. Second, we have seen this Pacific Ring of Fire, and third, we have seen this alpine Himalayan area. In general, the foci of earthquake in the area of mid-oceanic ridge are shallow depth. Why shallow depth? Because continental crust thickness is very less. So earthquakes come from near depth. Whereas along the Alpine Himalayan belt as well as the rim of Pacific, the earthquakes are deep seated ones. So in this part it is shallow depth, and in this Pacific it's deep. In the Alpine Himalaya also it is deep. The map of the volcanoes also show a similar pattern. The rim of the Pacific is also called the rim of fire due to existence of active volcanoes in this area. So many volcanoes are present, and it was also a UPSC mains question that why is this Pacific ring of fire very well known for the volcanoes. We will understand this when we understand the ocean convergence and the ocean continent convergence in the plate tectonic theory. We'll just discuss, it's the next section that we have to discuss in the upcoming lecture. But for now, that what we have to remember is that okay, volcanoes and earthquakes do have three major portions where they occur in the world. Number one being Atlantic mid-oceanic ridge, number two being Pacific ring of fire, and number three being Alpine Himalayan range. So it is important to just have a rough idea of this map, and you can also draw it in your exam whenever it is required. And another point that can be easily asked in MCQ question is that Atlantic Ocean earthquakes are shallow, Pacific and Alpine Himalayan ones are deep. So that is what we have to discuss in the distribution of volcano and earthquake. In this section, you have to remember the three main areas: the depth, and why the Pacific area is called a rim of fire or a ring of fire. It is because there is high amount of active volcanoes present in this area. I hope this is clear to you, and now we will also imagine this Pacific ring of fire and these regions with help of an AI video. Right, so we have seen that okay, Pacific ring of fire is present in this area. In this area, Pacific ring of fire is present, and what it has deep earthquakes, right? In Atlantic, we have shallow earthquakes. The last part that we have to discuss in today's lecture video is about seafloor spreading. It's a concept or it's a theory given by Harry Hess, and we have to discuss that okay, what are his observation about the ocean floor. Like in the continental drift theory, we have discussed that okay, how the continents have been forming or what is there with the continents. But oceans are not discussed in that theory. In this seafloor spreading theory, the concept and the focus of Harry Hess is on how seafloors or the characteristic of seafloor are there. So the mapping of ocean floor and paleomagnetic study. Now what is this paleomagnetic study? Paleomagnetic study is nothing but it is discussing the magnetic property of the rocks. Rocks have a special characteristic that whenever they are formed, they kind of trap inside them the magnetic property, right? So for example, this is north magnetic pole. Earth do have two types of pole, that is one is north pole and south pole, that is geographical north and south, and one there is magnetic north and south. There is a reversal of magnetic north and south after very long period of time, but the rocks show the north magnetic north pole and the magnetic south pole. So he has studied the mapping of ocean floor and paleomagnetic study of rocks from the ocean region, and various findings are present. Now we will study first these findings and then we will study the proposed theory by Harry Hess. The first point that is observed is that it was realized that all along the mid-oceanic ridge, we have seen that what are ridges? These are basically mountains that are present below the ocean water. Volcanic eruption are common and they bring huge amount of lava to the surface in this area, right? So whenever we talk about mid-oceanic ridge, the because ocean floor being thinner, lava continuously comes out and various type of volcanic eruptions are present. When these lava gets accumulated, various type of mid-oceanic ridges are found. So first point is that volcanic eruptions are common in mid-oceanic region area. The rock equidistant on the sides of crest of mid-oceanic ridge show remarkable similarity in terms of period of formation, chemical composition, and magnetic properties. So whenever we're talking, okay, so that this is the common area or this is the common crest which is common to all the mountain ranges. All right, let's say that here certain type of band A rock are present. Here also, let's say at 10-kilometer distance, band A rocks are present. Here also to the right hand side at the distance of 10 kilometer, band A rocks are present. Then at this, let's say 50-kilometer distance, band B rocks are present. Here also at the distance of 50 kilometers from the crest, band B rocks are present. So what is noticed that the properties of A and this band A rock on both, that is left hand side and right hand side, are similar, and band B and here band B, both on the left and the right hand side, these are also similar. And what are the similarities in this rock bands is that the period of formation, the chemical composition, and the magnetic property, these are same. So what can be concluded from this observation is that they will be formed at certain similar time only. Rocks closer to mid-oceanic ridge have normal polarity and are younger. Now, band A will be younger to band B. That is what is observed. Because when lava comes out, right, in the recent, they will be accumulated as A and they will shift rock B to the side. So, this is how the shifting and the ocean floor is spreading. That is what is the proposed theory. The age of the rock increases as one moves away from the crest. As we can see that B is 50 kilometers from the crest, so it is older. Whereas A, it is just 10 kilometers from the crest, so it is younger than B. The ocean crust rocks are much younger than the continental rocks. So now when we compare that which one is younger and which one is older, we can find that okay, continental rocks are much younger than the oceanic rocks. The age of rocks in the oceanic crust is nowhere more than 200 million years old. So we can understand that the rocks in the oceanic crust is about 200 million years ago, and the continental rocks are nearly 3200 million years ago. So that's a huge 3000 million year gap, right? So we can now see that the age of continental rocks is more than that of oceanic rocks. The next point that we have to discuss is that the sediments on the ocean floor are unexpectedly very thin. Scientists were expecting, if the ocean floor were as old as the continent, to have a complete sequence of sediments for a period of much longer duration. However, nowhere was the sediment column found to be older than 200 million years. So it is similar to the above point that is mentioned, and it is a proof that okay, why ocean floor are just 200 million years old and continental floor is like 3200 million year old. It is because the scientists have not found sediment accumulation older than this period. However, same are found on the continent. The deep trenches have deep seated earthquake occurrence, while in the mid oceanic ridge area the quake foci have shallow depth. Now what are these trenches? Trenches are basically these like depth points in the oceanic floor. You all must have heard about the Mariana Trench. So these are the deep point which are present inside the oceanic floor, right? So whenever we talk about these trenches, the earthquake are also deep in this. And when we talk about the mid-oceanic ridge, it is shallow depth. We will study that how these trenches are formed in the next slides. So these facts and a detailed analysis of magnetic property of the rocks on either side of the mid-oceanic ridge led Harry Hess to propose his hypothesis known as the seafloor spreading. So we have studied that okay, there are various conclusions that can be made from studying this oceanic floor, and these all analysis were taken by Harry Hess, and he proposed a theory which is called a seafloor spreading theory. Harry Hess argued that constant eruption at the crest of oceanic ridge caused the rupture of oceanic crust, and the new lava wedges into it, pushing the oceanic crust on either side. The ocean floor thus spread. So what is Harry Hess saying? That let's say this is the crest. This is already the rock which are present. Now when new lava is erupted from this crest, these rocks are shifted to a distance, and the newer, let's say these rocks, the older rocks are shifted to here and newer rocks come here, right? So the ocean has spreaded. Earlier the ocean was just still here. Now the ocean is present till here. So this is what is the seafloor spreading theory by Harry Hess. So let's study it once again. Let's read it once again. Harry Hess argued that constant eruption at the crest of oceanic ridge causes a rupture of oceanic crust and new lava wedges into it. So new lava emerges out. It pushes the oceanic crust on either side. It moves the oceanic crust that is already present on distance, and thus the oceanic floor spreads. The younger age of the oceanic crust, as well as the fact that spreading of one ocean does not cause the sinking of other, made Hess think that the consumption of oceanic crust. Right? So we can now see that if one ocean floor is spreading, it does not mean that other is becoming shorter. This is what Harry Hess has to say. He further maintained that ocean floor that gets pushed due to volcanic eruption at the crest sinks down at the oceanic trenches and gets consumed. But if these kept like strengthening and these kept widening, then no continent will be left. That is what Harry has thought. But no, whenever there is, we will study in this in plate tectonic theory that okay, whenever there is now, once this crest reaches the continent, then this gets submerged below the continent. Let's say this is ocean and this is land. Whenever they meet, so this gets subducted. Why this gets subducted, we will study this in plate tectonic theory, and these from ocean trenches. These are the deep points in the ocean. This is how the functionality of ocean floor is happening, and it is spreading also, but however at the same point it is getting consumed. So that is the point, that the size of ocean remains constant. There is constant creation of crust and there is constant destruction of crust also. So now let's quickly see a video to imagine whatever we have studied in the seafloor spreading theory till now. Alright, let's take example of this point. From here lava is coming out. You can see that stripes of rocks are present. Right, let's take this as band A, and this is band B. Right, this is band A and this is band B. Now, whenever we see that okay, this A and this A will be similar and these will be younger, and these B and this B will be similar in age if they are equidistant, and this will have same properties. And whenever this come out, it shifts the oceanic crust to its sides and new crust is being formed. However, it is constantly getting consumed in form of oceanic trenches. We will see that how these trenches are found in the plate tectonics theory. That's it for today's lecture. In this video lecture, we have discussed about 3-4 concepts, that is what is the oceanic floor configuration. Then we have studied about basically distribution of volcano and earthquake, and we have already discussed about the seafloor spreading. In next lecture video, we will discuss about plate tectonics in much detail, and we will also understand the movement of Indian plate, that how it has happened over the past. If you like this video, and I do recommend that please share this video and do use these AI videos to create your imagination, because this is what will happen and help you in exam, that whatever you visualize, it will be remaining in your memory for a longer period of time. And do revise these lectures constantly, again and again, so that it remains in your memory. And if you like this video and you understand the concept, please like and share the video. If there is any question, you can leave it in the comment section. I would be happy to help you. And for upcoming lecture videos, do subscribe to UPSC with AS. Thank you. Have a great day.